Happy Wednesday. Welcome in to Send It In, presented by BetMGM here on the BetMGM Network. I'm your host, PJ Glasser. Another great show for you guys coming up on this Wednesday. Pat Perry of the Tour Junkie is going to join us here in moments, get his thoughts on one of the best non-majors of the year in golf, the Waste Management Phoenix Open. Looking forward to breaking that down. Also going to talk about another really good college basketball slate on the docket today. Matt Horner going to join us later on in the show. And then, of course, we'll continue previewing the big game down in New Orleans. Look at a couple novelty props on the show today over the next 30 minutes. As always, any questions, any comments that you guys have for us, make sure you're following us on our new social channels at the BetMGM Network, at the BetMGM Network. You can go over there on Twitch, on YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. Follow us at the BetMGM Network. Send in any questions, best bets, comments that you guys have for us. We'll try and get to them over the next 30 minutes. And also, if you miss any part of the show, make sure you check out the Send It In podcast as well, available wherever you get your podcast. Let's get this thing rolling, though. Glasses in session. We go to the Glasser guest line, check in with Pat Perry, who joins us of the Tour Junkies. Make sure you guys give the Tour Junkies a follow on X at Tour Junkies. Pat, great having you on the show, man. Excited to break down this tournament because it truly is one of the best. Waste Management Phoenix Open, always an electric atmosphere at TPC Scottsdale. You were there last year covering the event. It is part of the handicap like this week. Do you look at golfers, or are you ever shied away from golfers, I should say, that you think maybe can't handle this moment with kind of the raucous atmospheres and how many people are on the grounds this week? Does that ever scare you off of maybe certain golfers you don't think can handle this certain environment?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, when you look at this tournament, it's just unlike any other tournament on tour. It's a fantastic event, but, you know, you'll hear a lot of players after the fact will tell you, I just really couldn't handle the atmosphere the way it was, and it was a little too raucous. You have some that are just a little more old school. I mean, Zach Johnson last year, I believe, got a little frustrated with some fans, and, I mean, they even stopped serving alcohol last year. So if that tells you anything about how this event went, but the weather was a lot worse. We're going to have fantastic weather this year. So I think there are a few players that you might just shy away from that might, have a little bit of a, just like kind of that old school feel that might not do well. But it's not like a major thing that I'm looking at this week. But I'm looking forward to it because it's just an amazing event.
It is. What about course history, Pat, right? I mean, a lot of people when they're handicapping golf week to week, they would probably prefer guys who are in good form coming into an event, and you would obviously still prefer that heading into this week. But more often than not, like when it comes to the Waste Management Open, do you think course history carries more weight here than maybe some of the other events?
Absolutely. I think it is. There's certain courses that we look at every year where course history is definitely a thing, and I think you're going to see that here. We've seen a few folks that have multiple wins here, and so that immediately tells you that this is a course where those guys, it just kind of suits their eye. Pretty straightforward course off the tee, but then gets a little bit tougher into some of these greens. But it's always in such great shape that I think you just see these guys that show up every year that really just know how to play this course, know how to react to the crowd, know how to enjoy the environment, and that plays a part too. So, and I'm a course history guy. It's something I'm always looking at. I certainly want to look at the stats that I think fit for this course, but definitely there are some guys in this field where if I see a few top 10s in a row or, maybe 3 top 20s in the last 5 years, I'm certainly going to look at that when it comes to some placement bets or outrights in general.
Yeah, no, totally agree with you. The 3 favorites that we have this week, Scotty, JT, Hideki, all great course history here at TPC Scottsdale. Who are some golfers that you like this week, Pat? Maybe anybody that you've already bet so far?
Well, I mean, look, Scotty is obviously the favorite, and it's for a reason. I think there's a very good chance that he wins. If you want to bet him, I think, we got the Super Bowl obviously coming up on Sunday. So maybe you pair that up with another Super Bowl play and you kind of juice the odds a little bit. But, when I'm looking at other guys kind of down the board, I really love 2 guys right around kind of the 25-1 to 30-1 category. I love Tom Kim. And I love Sam Burns. Sam Burns has an excellent course history here. You just look at the last few years. He's got 2 top 10s in the last couple of years. Tom Kim was in the top 20 last year. Those are 2 guys I think kind of up near the top that I'm a big fan of. And And they're also, they kind of check a lot of boxes when it comes to the stats that I'm looking at this week as well. And they're playing well. So I think those are two that I really like. And it's hard not to, I know folks tend to want to shy away from the recent winners, like a Sepp Straka. But Sepp almost won last week at Pebble Beach. And that doesn't mean that he can get into contention and almost win again this week. So I think Sepp is another one you're getting some decent odds on still to win this golf tournament.
I know you and David on the Tour Junkies, you guys love your long shots. Is there anybody maybe 80 to 1, 100 to 1, 125 to 1, any big long shots you guys like this week?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We always love to bet those. And I tell you, the first one, there's two that really I love, and one is they're both around 75 to 1, depending on where you're looking. But Andrew Novak and Sam Stevens are two that I absolutely love. Sam Stevens has been playing great golf. He is an absolute flusher of the golf ball, and I think the win is coming for Sam Stevens eventually. Another one that I really like is Andrew Novak. Andrew Novak is, he's coming off a third place at the Farmers just a couple weeks ago. He's coming off a 13th at Pebble Beach. He was top 10 here. He was T8 here last year in the poor weather, where they still had some scoring. So I think those two are my long shots that I really love this week.
Would you do anything with Ricky Fowler or Jordan Spieth this week, Pat? Guys that have good course history here, they like playing here throughout the years. Did you consider either of those guys, or are they off your card this week?
No, I would say they're off my card. I love Jordan. I think Jordan's going to get it back together. He's coming off of that wrist injury, had surgery in the off season, and he's really it's just too early on for me to really feel good about Jordan Spieth. And Ricky Fowler you're right, he has great history here, but I just haven't seen him really put it all together in the events that he's played in to feel like that he can really contend to win. I mean, maybe you look at like a top 40 play or something like that on Ricky, but I'm concerned about both of them.
Any golfers that you're looking to fade this week, especially any of the favorites, right? Justin Thomas, extremely popular last week at Pebble, probably going to be popular this week again. Hideki's a former winner here. He's got great course history. Anybody towards the top, or anybody that maybe you're really looking to kind of target in matchups that you think could be a good fade this week?
Well, I think there's, really a couple here. One, I definitely feel like Justin Thomas, even though I know he has been playing better, he had the second place finish at the American Express, but he was T48 last week. I'm not really feeling that strong about JT just yet. And so I think he's one that I would probably fade. And then also Sungjae Im. Sungjae Im always seems to kind of show up in these golf tournaments, and the odds I feel like are just a little too short for him. He hasn't won in several years. And so I think if you've got guys, in matchups like a Sam Burns against Sungjae or a Tom Kim against Sungjae, I think those are ones that I would take over Sungjae. I just don't feel like this is going to be the best week for him. He's got a decent course history here, but nothing that really jumps out at you too much. So I would say JT and Sungjae up top are the two that I would probably fade. And probably if I get a good matchup bet, I'll be taking the opposite side of that.
Have you made any bets so far, Pat? Like any head-to-heads, any placements, top 10s, top 20s, any of the top nationality bets, any fun wagers like yes on a hole-in-one? Have you done any of that this week so far?
I have not made – well, I've made outright bets, and you've heard basically all of them really between Sam Burns, Tom Kim, and then Andrew Novak and Sam Stevens. Those are really my top outright bets. I have also made top 20 bets. And I think when you look at, there's two, you got Sam Burns and then you got Tom Kim right there. I think there's good plus money odds on both those guys. So I think I really like those. If I'm going to give my top 20 locks, those are the guys that I love for top 20 locks. And then also a guy that I think you should look at as a long shot top 20. Not exactly sure what the odds are right now on BetMGM, but Jake Knapp, who was kind of the darling of a lot of folks last year at the beginning of the year. And I actually met him. I met him at this golf tournament last year, and I have to say that it was just a budding, loving relationship right off the start. I love Jake Knapp. He ended up winning in Mexico, and you can pretty much get him about 5 plus 550, somewhere in that range for a top 20. And Jake Knapp has been playing really well lately. His game kind of fell off a little bit at the end of last year, but if you look at what he's done lately, he's really started to play well. His ball striking has gotten back to where it was. He was up there on the leaderboard last week at Pebble Beach. So I think somebody is sort of more of a long shot top 20 option. Jake Knapp is definitely one that I'm looking at.
I love that call. Great stuff. Pat Perry joined us here on Send It In. Make sure you guys are listening to the Tour Junkies podcast. Follow him on X as well, at the Tour Junkies. Pat Perry joining us here. Pat, great to meet you, man. Looking forward to do this a bunch throughout the PGA Tour season. Good luck this week at the Waste Management. We'll catch up again soon.
Thank you, PJ. I appreciate it. Have a great week.
Yeah, man, you as well. A lot of good stuff there from Pat Perry on the Waste Management Phoenix Open. We're going to continue breaking that down here as we do a little golfing with Glasser on this Wednesday. Every week on the show, guys, if you're just tuning in to Send It In, we love Tee It Up Tuesday on Tuesday and then golfing with Glasser on Wednesday, breaking down these marquee events. It's an elevated event this week out in Phoenix, so it's a huge $20 million purse. Scotty Scheffler, the overwhelming favorite, at plus 275. And for Scotty, his first round special to make an eagle this week is plus 400. You got 3 par 5s on this golf course. All of them are drivable. You also have the 17th hole, which is a drivable par 4. I mean, Scotty is a guy that really likes going low on this course, and I think at 4-1 for him to get an eagle in the first round. Pat talked about it's supposed to have really good weather this week. I think it is worth it. So I like Scotty to make an eagle at plus 400 in the first round. Also have prices out there for will there be a hole-in-one on the 16th hole. Obviously, this is the famous hole on this course, the stadium hole. I'm sure everybody's seen it on TV. And when somebody makes a hole-in-one, the place goes absolutely nuts. They throw beer all over the green. It's an electric scene. I'm sure a bunch of people will be betting yes. We have seen a couple of hole-in-ones here over the last couple of years, but we usually don't get them at the 16th. And for us to just zero in on that hole and not get a price on the rest of the par 3s, I don't like the value on the yes at plus 300. So I would pass on for there not to be a hole-in-one at the 16th hole this week, although we'll certainly be rooting for it. Then we have another first-round special, Justin Thomas to birdie the opening hole, par 4, 10th hole at plus 250. This should be a birdie hole this week for these guys. As long as you drive it in the fairway, you should have a wedge into the green. So I think JT plus 250 has got great course history here. 6 straight events at this course. He has finished in the top 15. He's gotten off to a hot start just about each and every time. So I think JT, birdie the first hole, plus 250. I like that value for him. Sam Burns to finish in the top 10 or Luke Clanton to finish in the top 10. We got Sam Burns at plus 200, Clanton at plus 350. Pat was just talking about how much he likes Sam Burns this week, and I'm with him. We were on Burns last week at Pebble, and I would come right back with him this week at the WMPO as well. I like his price, top 10 plus 200, but I really like Luke Clanton's price at plus 350. So if I had to choose between the two, I would more so lean towards Clanton. He was a rookie last season, had some good events, some good finishes here and there. I'm expecting him to have a nice season this year. He's a young guy that can really bomb the ball off the tee. I think this course should fit him pretty well. He's a good iron player as well, and he's a good putter on slick, fast, firm greens. So I think Clanton could be a sleeper this week because he's making his debut. We just don't really know what to expect, and I think that's why you're probably getting better prices on him than what should be. So I think plus 350, Luke Clanton, top 10. I like that price, but I like the Sam Burns ones as well. Then we got Wyndham Clark or Minwoo Lee to finish top 20. Which one would I rather take? Wyndham Clark's plus 240. Minwoo Lee is plus 250. Love Minwoo Lee. We love him on this show. But I think for this week, this course specifically, if I had to choose between the two guys, I would rather go with Wyndham Clark. Again, it's not like crazy important to be a long driver this week, but it certainly helps if you are up there amongst the driving leaders, and Wyndham Clark is certainly that. He's tend to play some big boy golf courses very well. U.S. Open winner. He played well at TPC Sawgrass. So I think Wyndham Clark is going to be able to handle all the energy in the crowd this week. I like his top 20 over Minwoo Lee at plus 240. Well, the tournament ended a playoff this week. Plus 350 to the yes, minus 500 to the no. Look, this event normally has a crowded leaderboard. The winner tends to finish like in the minus 20, maybe the the 18 under, 19 under range, and you tend to get a couple of guys who are battling to win the tournament. I think plus 350 again. Bets like this, it's really all about the value for me. I think you're getting good bet value there for there to be a playoff. So I like that at plus 350. For the rest of the world market at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, I would look at Tom Kim. Again, I agree with Pat. I really like Tom Kim this week. Plus 550 among guys like Hideki Matsuyama, Sung Jae-in, Ben An, rest of the world golfers in that market. I think Tom Kim's the best bet. So I like him at plus 550. And then there's a bet out there, Scottie Scheffler to win the event by 2 or more shots. So if you don't want to take him at plus 275, you can take him to win the event at plus 350 if he wins by 2 or more shots. I wouldn't do that because it's a lot like laying the run line in baseball or laying the puck line in the NHL. I tend to stay away from that because usually when you bet those things, your team ends up winning by either 1 goal or 1 run, whatever it may be. So if you like Scotty this week, I would just bet him at the plus 275. David brought up a good point too. Maybe you parlay that with the Super Bowl winner as well. Get yourself some more odds because probably a good probability that Scotty ends up winning this week once again in Phoenix. All right, let's talk some college basketball. Had a great night last night, hitting our dog of the day and the best bet. Tonight, we got a pretty good slate. SEC, Big Ten, ACC matchups. Oregon's in Ann Arbor taking on number 24 Michigan Wolverines, favored by 8.5 with a total of 153.5. This line's about right for me. Oregon had a great non-conference. Oregon's one of those teams that I would look at in the NCAA tournament. They had a really strong non-conference, but now that they've gotten here into conference play in the Big Ten, they haven't been as good. They remind me a lot of Clemson from last year. Clemson had a great non-conference, didn't do too great in ACC play, got into March Madness and made the Elite Eight. I could see something similar with this Oregon team, but I think they're going to continue to struggle in conference play. I wouldn't bet this game tonight. If I had to, though, I would probably lean towards Michigan minus 8.5. Game of the night's going to be in Knoxville. Number 15 Missouri taking on number 4 Tennessee. The Vols are 8.5 point favorites with a total of 134.5. I like the over in this game. Missouri might be the most underrated team in college basketball. Their offense is number 12th according to Ken Pom. Their defense is in the low 40s, and they have the best shooter in the sport in Caleb Grill. We all remember Jack Golke last year on Oakland, who was hitting all those threes for them in the tournament. Caleb Grill is this year's Jack Golke. He has the greenest of green lights. He hits threes from 30, 35, 40 feet. Missouri's got a lot of confidence right now. They just went into Mississippi State on Saturday and absolutely blew them out. So we saw Tennessee lose at home to a team like Kentucky that shoots a lot of threes, makes a lot of threes. Missouri's kind of the same way. So I don't know if Missouri's going to win. I would lean them plus the 8.5, but I like the over. I think we're going to get some points. So I like over 134.5. West Virginia is in Fort Worth tonight taking on TCU. Horned Frogs 1.5 point favorites, total 127.5. Something I've been noticing with West Virginia is when they've gone up against these Big 12 teams that have good defenses, the Houstons, the Arizona States, and their low totals, these games are still going under the total. And we got another good low total tonight, 127.5. TCU, very good defensive team. I would take the under. I think this is going to be like another 61-50 kind of game. I like under 127.5. Number 23, Illinois on the road tonight, taking on Rutgers, total 156.5. I would really not bet a Rutgers game until like 10 minutes before, so you find out whether or not Dylan Harper's playing, because he's kind of turned into like the Cam Rising of college basketball all of a sudden. The last 4 or 5 games, he's been a game-time decision, and you just don't know whether or not he's going to go for Rutgers, and it feels like either way, you get 2 points of value from Rutgers, whether he's in or whether he's out of the lineup. So I wish I could give you guys a pick, but until I know what's going on with Dylan Harper, really no thoughts for me on Illinois and Rutgers. Do have a pick, though, in Providence and Creighton. I love Providence tonight, plus the 3.5. Anytime we get Providence as a home dog, we're going to take that. Creighton, I think, is overrated. I think the top of the Big East in general is pretty overrated. And when these teams go on the road for the most part, I look forward to fading them. So we'll take Providence tonight, plus the points. Look at them on the money line as well. Arkansas at Texas. I've been waiting for this game ever since Saturday because I've wanted to fade Arkansas. All the emotion going into Cal's return to Rupp Arena, and now they go on the road to play Texas in Austin. Arkansas shot the lights out. They haven't looked that good on offense all year. I think that was more about Kentucky's defense than it was Arkansas's offense. Now they're going up against a good defensive team in Texas on the road. And again, just a letdown after all the emotion and all the energy in that building from Saturday night. I think Texas is an excellent money line piece tonight at minus 300, but I would lay the minus 7.5 with them as well. I'd look at the under 142.5 in the game also. And then one of my favorite bets, Stanford minus 2.5 tonight, going up against Wake Forest with a total of 139.5. The ACC, as we know, is certainly not what the league has been the last 10, 15, 20 years. But Wake Forest has had a difficult stretch. They've had to play North Carolina, Duke, Louisville, and Pitt. Four of the best teams in the conferences, all back to back to back to back. Well, now they got to take the West Coast road trip, and they got to fly all the way across the country from Winston-Salem to Stanford. We know that these ACC Big Ten schools that have to travel to the West Coast middle of the week tend to not do very well. I like Stanford tonight, minus 2.5 against Wake Forest. I'd lay the points with the Cardinals. All right, let's talk some Super Bowl props now here on Send It In. Get into the novelty market. Look at some fun ways that you can bet the Super Bowl. We will start with the first drive of the game, Devontae Smith to record a 20-yard reception at plus 900. I love Devontae's longest reception over 20.5 yards. So I think why not just taking a shot that he's going to have a 20-yard catch on the first drive at 9-1. I think the Eagles' game plan is going to be similar to what it was against Washington, right? I know Saquon Barkley broke the first run of the game for 60 yards, but after that, the Eagles came out and actually threw the ball quite a lot. I think with all the talk about Barkley against this Kansas City defense and what kind of game plan is Spags going to have for him, I think the Eagles are going to come out early and they're going to try and throw the ball. So if I feel like they're going to do that, I'll take a shot with Devontae, 20-yard catch or more at plus 900. I like betting the octopus in this game as well for any player to score a touchdown and a 2-point conversion at 14-1. I think that's good value, so I like that as well. One of my favorites, the largest lead of the game. I like betting under 13.5 points. So at any point in this game, we're not going to get a lead for either team to be 14 or more points. This is just the way that the Chiefs play. They don't blow anybody out. No game is really ever out of dodge. And, Philadelphia, I think, has more blowout potential than the Chiefs do. But I don't see Philadelphia being up 14 or 17 points in this game. So we saw the Chiefs-Bills game was pretty close throughout. Kansas City and Houston never got above 14 points either. I don't think the Super Bowl is either. So I like under 13.5 points for the Chiefs and the Eagles. Triple Crown market. I like betting this one. Quarterback to have the most passing yards, running back to have the most rushing yards, wide receiver to have the most receiving yards in the game. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, Devontae Smith, 16-1. I would bet those three in that market. Philadelphia to have a successful 2-point conversion at plus 550. I like that as well. Look, with the tush push, with Philly knowing they have to be aggressive in this game against Kansas City, I think it's worth a bet taking Philly to have a successful 2-point at plus 550. The team to score first wins the game at plus 125. I do not think that is going to happen. So I bet the no at plus 125. I think the Eagles are going to start fast, but then I think the Chiefs win the game. So I think that is worth looking at as well. And then the team to have the most punts in the game, Philadelphia or Kansas City. I like the Chiefs to have more punts at minus 105. I think the Chiefs are going to be more reluctant to rely on their defense, whereas Philadelphia is going to want to be more aggressive. And because they have the tush push on short yardage situations, they're more inclined to go from their own 31 or their own 33, whereas Kansas City on a 4th and 1, probably going to punt it away. So I'll take the Chiefs to have more punts in the game at minus 105. Some of the bets that I like there in the big game. Let's go to the Lions Den now. Check in with Matt Horner joining us here on Send It In. Give Matt a follow at @sharp_side_ Odyssey sports betting writer for us here at the BetMGM network. And Matt, what are some of your favorite plays for us on tonight's slate?
Yeah, howdy there, PJ. We got some more college basketball bets for you tonight, some fishy lines, and of course, one bet that I really like, maybe not the fishiest line in the world, but fishy lines. We're going to Bucknell tonight, a school maybe nobody really cares about this game. It's American versus Bucknell. Bucknell is favored in the game. They are 10-13 on the season, going up against American, who is 14-9 and has won 5 straight games. Yet Bucknell is favored in the game, and I think there's a reason for that, and it's because the Bison are going to win. So give me Bucknell on the money line here at around minus 120 or so. And a game that you were just talking about, Providence, plus 3.5, plus 3. Yeah, I think they're going to win the game outright. Just like you were talking about this line to me. I mean, Providence is 2-3 over the last 5 games, or 11-11 on the season. Taking on Creighton, who has won 5 straight. They're 16-6. And yet this line, they're just 3-point dogs here, Providence to Creighton. Again, seems to be a reason for that. So give me Providence. I think they're just going to win the game outright. And then another bet you talked about as well, Missouri. I got them at 9.5. It's 8.5. I still like 8.5. I think Missouri is a wagon. Honestly, I love their talent. I love the way they're playing. Tennessee coming off of that huge win against Florida. People are going to love them here. But I honestly think the Tigers are undervalued. So give me the Tigers plus the points tonight.
I'm with you. I really like that Missouri team. They can shoot the 3 ball. Matt, let's talk some Big Ten. You're an Illini fan. You know that conference pretty well in college basketball. Michigan State was undefeated before heading out to L.A. They dropped their last 2 games. Purdue's kind of been at the top. Illinois dropped some games as well. Wisconsin's up and down. Maryland's kind of emerging. For right now, Michigan's been up there, obviously. Who do you think's the best team in the Big Ten right now?
Yeah, the Big Ten is just a mess. I mean, you got teams going up and down all the time. Illinois, I mean, us with several losses, and then we come back and get that win. It's just crazy. Honestly, I think there's some value right now on Wisconsin. I mean, you take a look at their number in the market, 25-1 to win the Big Ten. And yet, if you take a look at some of their KenPom stats here, Wisconsin is number 13th ranking in the country on KenPom. That's above Illinois. It's above Oregon. It's above Michigan State. Several of these other favorites, the only team higher than them actually in the Big Ten on KenPom is Purdue. And we all know Purdue is fantastic. They have an unbelievable offense. It's 7th in the country. But Wisconsin is 9th in the country in offense. If they can just get a little better defensively. I mean, it's 25-1 here for Wisconsin, a team that's 13th on KenPom. So I think there's a lot of value in the Badgers here.
Yeah, I like that quite a bit. Big Ten, certainly. I mean, up for grabs at this point. Matt, before I let you go, we got the big game down in New Orleans on Sunday. Give me some of your favorite bets. Who do you think's going to win the game? Anything you like total-wise? Some of the props that you like also in about a minute.
Yeah, well, I agree with you that I think the Eagles get off to a fast start, and yet the Chiefs are probably going to win the game. So I took the Eagles on the money line at half. I think they win the first half, and then the Chiefs full game. So I like that bet. I also took the under, as I explained last week, took the under at 49.5. It's 48.5 now. Everybody's betting the over because, of course, they are. It's the Super Bowl. The public loves the over. So give me the under here in this game. I think it'll be lower scoring. And a prop I like, the young pass rusher, George Karlaftis, to record a sack in each half. Plus 750. I think that's worth a little bit of a sprinkle here. Love the guy. Had 3 sacks going up against the Texans. Didn't show out against the Bills last week, but I think he has a big performance on the biggest stage here at just 23 years old. So give me George Karlaftis to record a sack in each half, plus 750.
Love it. Matt Horner joining us here on the Lions Day. Give him a follow on X at @sharp_side_ Odyssey sports betting writer here for us at the BetMGM Network. Matt, always great checking in with you, sir. Enjoy the big game on Sunday. We'll talk again next week.
Sure. Thanks, PJ.
You got it. All right, guys, let's wrap the show now. PJ's plays, B-Mills, I see you got a question for us here. Hey, Peach, don't have a lot today. Don't like the B-ball card much. How do you like Duke first half team total over 38.5 against a terrible Syracuse team who plays no defense? Worried about a blowout, so targeting first half here. B-Mills, I also stayed away just after the North Carolina game, Duke being this big a favorite on the road. You just don't know what kind of performance you're going to get. So feels like you are on the right side, targeting first half, maybe a Duke team total over. I'm just staying away from that game completely. The prop block that I do have this week for the big game is going to be the largest lead of the game, under 13.5 points. So at no point in this game are we going to have a lead by either team of 14 or more. I like taking the under there. The Chiefs just play everybody close. I like the under in the game, so I think it's low scoring. I like under 13.5 to be the largest lead in the big game. Dog of the day is going to be Providence plus 3.5 against Creighton. I take some Providence money line as well. Love betting the Friars at home, especially when they're home dogs. And then my best bet's going to be Stanford minus 2.5 against Wake Forest. Wake's had a tough stretch. Now they got to go on the road, fly across the country middle of the week, and play Stanford. Give me the Cardinal, -2.5 against Wake Forest. Thanks again to Pat Perry of the Tour Junkies, Matt Horner for joining us here on Send It In. Hunter Brody going to stop by tomorrow, preview the big game, Eagles and Chiefs. We'll see you then.